Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us this morning. I am Jamie Punishall. I'm the Chief Product Officer for Lytho. I'm joined here by Josh Gibbs. I'll let Josh introduce himself,
Hey,
and we'll dive into some fun new stuff.
yep. Hey everyone, I'm Josh Gibbs, as Jamie said. I am the VP of Product here at Litho, and I'm excited to show you all the new things we've got coming down the pipe.
Excellent. Okay, so a couple of housekeeping items I want to mention just before we start, and then we're going to jump right into the content. This session is being recorded, so if you aren't joining us, welcome. In the future, if you have to leave early, no problem. Or if you just want to share this with colleagues, we will share it and make it available afterwards. We have turned on the Q&A feature. So if you could put your questions in the Q&A section, we are more likely to see them than if you put them in the chat. We'll try to monitor both, but if you could help us out by putting it in the Q&A, we'll address them there. And anything we don't get to, we will follow up with after the fact. We will take questions throughout as best as we can. While I'm talking, Josh's going to be the best Q&A person, and then we'll flip as he goes through the demo. Obviously there's a lot of new stuff that we're going to be sharing, a new perspective, as well as new product capabilities and features. And so as you have comments or reactions in the chat, we certainly encourage the feedback, the ideas, the criticisms, as nicely as you can make them, etc. In the chat. And with that, I think we should just jump right in. So let me share my screen here and give you a little sense of what we've been working on over the last 6 months or so. Excellent. Is that showing up okay?
Yep, we can see it.
Okay, great. Introducing Lytho AI. So Josh and I are both relatively new to Lytho. For those of you who are not as familiar with Lytho, this is a 20-year-old startup that is going through a big transformation, new management team, and new vision, really taking 20 years of specialty in helping content teams manage their proofing, the review, approvals, storage, with our DAM. We've got workflow and project management capabilities. We've really been helping folks manage the content supply chain, and ultimately solve the problem of how do we get the work we do approved with an audit trail, and then easily retrieved, et cetera. But we need to bring that into the modern age because, of course, the content supply chain is radically changing. The content creation world is radically changing. And the whole role of content is changing in the world of AI. So we've been furtively developing a whole host of new capabilities, which we have just pushed into the system. And so we want to share a little bit of the vision here and those capabilities. All right, so let me walk you through a story. I've been in the work world for coming on 33 years, and I'm an old digital native. I'll let you do the math. I've lived through and been fortunate enough in my career to kind of be at the front edge of the 5 major technological revolutions that have happened in recent memory: the introduction of the PC into the workplace, the internet, social media, and social engagement and social content sharing, the mobility revolution, and now AI. This is the first one where the market and executives are out ahead of the end users. In the previous 4, it was early adopters and folks trying to push their organizations and champion this new world that looked very different than the old world. But this one's different. Right now, the frontier AI companies, that's your Anthropics and your OpenAIs and your Facebooks or Metas rather, and Amazons and Alibabas, et cetera, are spending about $250 billion a year. I'm going to say that again, $250 billion a year to advance their frontier models. This, of course, has got the investing world in a tizzy about its impact on the software world. But importantly, what it's doing is it's creating pressure from the top for organizations to push and adopt AI. And in some ways, that's amazing. But in some ways, that's a real problem because, as we know, it's not quite fully ready for full enterprise deployment. So this really interesting paradox where the organization can adopt, be the early adopter, try to advance, experiment, maybe even have some rogue AI usage before it's fully ready and they have the governance and the controls. And of course, that's going to increase, quality issues. We see this, we talk about AI slop, brand issues, and compliance risks. On the other hand, if you wait, you're deliberate, you try to come up with a strategy, you wait until you've got all the governance and the controls, your IT department or whomever, your risk department shuts it all down, you're moving slowly and deliberately or not at all, you risk falling behind, you underperform. And given the pressure from up top, folks and parts of the organizations might lose a remit because right now the C-suite is all fighting over who's going to drive AI. This is a really horrible sort of Scylla and Charybdis situation. You're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. We can already see this if you look at the data from just marketing teams, never mind non-marketing teams, right? This is from Jasper's State of AI and Marketing. It's a great piece of thought leadership and survey. Kudos to the Jasper team for pulling this together. And you can see marketing teams are the tip of the spear. Almost 91%, at least, of the teams that they surveyed are now using AI in some capacity. But only a quarter of them are using it in any kind of marketing or brand governance capacity. That's a huge gap, right? Of usage without controls. And that is increasing the surface area. Even before you get into the quality issue, it's just increasing the surface area of risk for organizations. And I'm sure that many of you work for organizations that we might generously characterize as being risk averse. So it's either happening and happening badly or not happening at all. And that's because everybody can be a content creator now. If social media gave everybody a voice, whether they should have one or not is a debate for another day. Now every person in your organization is a content creator, including the machines. So we have the world that we've known for all of our careers is the human-driven world. We've seen a little bit of the human plus AI world, first in the form of dynamic, creative and programmatic, but now fully weaponized with ChatGPT and Claude and Copilot and Jasper and all the various tools that are being integrated. So we have augmented creators. And of course, then we have that early dynamic creative and programmatic world, which was really over just in the ad side, has now moved fully into agents and automation that can be serving up or creating creative on the fly on a one-to-one basis. And we all know content creation isn't just in marketing, right? We've got all the sales tools now have embedded AI, and those are sales tools we always had difficulty getting control over. Is everybody creating the decks the way we want them? Your IR departments. You've got internal creative or content that isn't as hard to wrangle. You've got knowledge management systems with product and technical content in it, and so on and so forth, right? And at the same time, you've got new AI superhumans that are delivering experiences. If you've experienced one of these automated chatbots or the avatar from, folks like, 11x AI, right? Or Reggie.ai or OneMind, which is one of my favorites. So we've got this rise of agents that could be creating content. We've got more augmented creators. And we all know some folks are doing a little bit of side on their personal machines, and if they can't get their ChatGPT or their Claude on their work machine, and this is creating a content governance nightmare. We need a whole new approach to content governance, and centralization just isn't going to work. It didn't work in today's world or yesterday's world, where we just had a speed or a capability bottleneck. We sure as heck aren't going to be able to scale it to match AI speed. I probably don't have to say this, but we think it's worth pointing out. This is not a small risk, right? For those of you in highly regulated industries, you already know this, right? In the first 5 years of this decade, the SEC and FINRA levied close to $4 billion in fines for improper marketing claims, improper disclosures, et cetera. You've got the DOJ, False Claims Act last year, almost $7 billion in recoveries. That's double year over year, a lot of it in healthcare. You've got FTC beginning to go after AI content, a bad AI content. There's a couple of examples of fines for how people are either sharing health data or improperly or not properly posting content. The regulators are on this. And so at the bottom, we hear it. We hear it from folks, right? Lots of increase in governance concerns. Legal teams are flagging AI at risk. A lot of marketers have already had an AI incident. This probably resonates inside of your organizations. You're either not able to do something because of these fears and these risks, or you're doing something and there's lots of concerns. And the reason for that is really 4 problems, right? Content lives in silos. It's generated by different business units with different tools, multiple repositories. We've been waiting on the promise of the dam to put everything in one place. It's never going to happen. It just isn't the way organizations and people operate. So we just have to accept content isn't going to be in one repository. How do we manage that? And that means your brand consistency and, frankly, your risk profile suffers across markets, business units, even audiences. Review is a bottleneck. There's just no way to scale and put human eyes on every piece of content that runs through an organization. When I was rolling out social media at Citibank years ago, the legal team wanted to pre-review every tweet going out the door. I tried to explain to them that simply isn't going to work at social media speed. That's another story for another time, but review has always been an issue, and it's about to become even more of an issue given how easy it is to create stuff with AI. So if it's expensive and it's already subjective, right? You give the same piece of content to 2 different risk or compliance or legal teams, you get 2 different answers. You can give it to the same risk or compliance or legal person or a product person 30 days apart, and you'll get 2 different answers. So not only is it a bottleneck, but it's not actually even as good as we think it is. We have a lot of content that's off-brand, but even more importantly, a lot of your content now needs to power AEO and GEO, right? It's the evolution of SEO for those not familiar with that alphabet soup. And your content's going to have to train chatbots. It's going to train personalization engines. So is your content structured properly, tagged properly, organized to train your AI? Because otherwise you're just putting garbage into a very, very fast and scalable system, and you're going to scale bad stuff very quickly. Finally, there's no governance infrastructure. It's not the way the MarTech stack, or frankly, the enterprise tech stack, has been designed to solve this problem across an enterprise. We think that needs to change. So we're moving towards what we think is a world that we're calling embedded governance. How do we make content governance an accelerant and not a tax? And there's 4 things that need to happen for that world to come true. We've got to get compliance and governance into the process from the start. In the tech world, the dev world, they call that shift left, right? How do we start compliance at creation? Not after it's created, as it's being created, all the way through production and perpetually. All of your content has to be structured for AI. It's got to be tagged, it's got to be classified, and it's got to be organized. I bet all of you have been trying to do this in some way, shape, or form for years. Every single marketing organization, and I've led a couple of them, they struggle with this. This is a necessity in the AI world. We've got to figure out a way to address the surface area risk. Everything that ships has got to be governed at the velocity of your business needs, but also with consistent logic that's always applied. This actually makes you entirely defensible in regulatory audits. when you apply the same rules the same way to everything and you can show how you're fully covered. We got to do that at creation. We've got to do that for all parts of your organization. And of course, we have even a new world, which is the world of deepfakes and content misuse, et cetera. We call that in the wild. So how can we make governance actually follow so that you can protect your IP, or you can protect yourself against misuse of somebody else's IP as you are creating content and distributing it and using it for your go-to-market motions? So just to pivot now to the demo, we think it's going to be we're actually moving into a fantastic world where everyone can create with AI, but nobody's governing all of it. And we aim to fix that. And with that said, I want to pass it over to Josh to share with you some of our new capabilities.
Excellent. Thank you, Jamie. Can you hear me okay? Awesome. All right, so guys, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share my screen. All right. Thumbs up. Can you see that, Jamie? Awesome. Okay, so like Jamie was saying, everyone is creating with AI these days, and it's impossible to wrangle all of the content, your sales reps, your distributors, your downstream marketers, right? Anybody that's creating content, whether it's an email, PDFs that are customized, Google AdWords, whatever they're creating, it's hard to know, is this compliant? Because like Jamie said, because everybody's creating and have the ability to create, you don't even have control of the content anymore. And that's what we're aiming to fix. And so what you see on the screen, I'm starting with our asset library. So for those of you that are unfamiliar with Lytho, we have a whole suite, a whole platform that helps you control that entire content lifecycle, from managing your assets in their final states to remixing those into new projects, and then coming up with new content strategies, getting them reviewed, and then again, putting them back into your asset library to complete that cycle over and over again. And so the first thing I'm going to show you guys is one that I think is pretty exciting, and that's our AI facial recognition that helps you do digital rights management, or just rights management in general. And so what you see on the screen is an example of an asset library. This could be PDFs, AdWords documents, copy blocks, whatever you have can be stored here and enriched with tons of metadata to make it easy to find. But one of the most important things that helps make sure that assets are being used in a compliant way is managing their digital rights, specifically around your employees. And so what you see is there's some pictures of me in here, right? There's one picture in particular that has questionable facial hair decisions during COVID. We all had to experiment, right? But what I want to show you is, how do you know if something has consent for your employees to use their likeness? And so the first place that we've gone with that is with AI facial recognition. So I can say, let me find all the pictures of Josh. So I'm going to go ahead and click this picture of Josh, and I'm going to click this facial recognition button. And you're going to get the filters and tags, and it's going to narrow it down to the pictures of me. It didn't get that one with the mustache, and I called that one out on purpose because I just looked too different. But I haven't trained the system to find that picture yet. But what I have done is it has found quite a few different photographs. And I'm going to back up now that you've seen this. And you can see that this one has a special marker on it. And that is a rights management file. It knows that this has special rights management rules on it. And so whenever I actually search for these other documents, I can see none of them have that on there. So immediately I'm able to negate any downstream legal problems of saying, find this employee in as many places as you can, and let's make sure that they have consented. Well, I have consented to having my likeness used, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to open up this file. I'm going to say all details. And you can see that here I am at a presentation, and I want to be able to link up that rights management file. So I'm going to click this right here. I'm going to say, go ahead and stick it on there. And now the rights management is linked, and I have that audit trail in place. So a very quick way to find it. And I've told it to put a watermark on it so that I can personally, as the administrator of my assets, come in and give rights and access to this document. Now, that's the first thing. The second thing that's very important is whenever you have assets like this, you want to make sure that you're in accessibility compliance. So for those of you that are in highly regulated industries around accessibility, like higher education, we have a lot of higher education customers. You need to make sure that the image has alt text that can be read by a screen reader, right? And you don't want to have to sit here and write that for every single asset in your library. And so what we're able to do is using the governing body for accessibility, we've put in their rules about how to generate alt text. And just by clicking this simple button and waiting just a second, you're able to actually generate a compliant alt text block of text that you can now apply to this image. And it's applied to the image in the DAM, and then you can take that, the image with the approved alt text, and if I wanted to change this, I could. I'll just throw a period in there to show you that it can save. I can now take this and embed the image and the alt text on my website. I can put it in my blog, wherever I want to publish this. And we also have more drawn out, longer general descriptions that enrich this piece of content for searching for the asset. So now there's tons of descriptors that are applied to this. And as you can see, I didn't really have to do very much at all. And you can have this coming very soon. You can have this applied on upload. You can do it in bulk after it's been uploaded, and you want to apply it to maybe 50 or 5,000 different documents all at the same time, saving you lots of time, saving you lots of headaches trying to find documents that are compliant and ensuring they're compliant. So that's the first set of features from facial recognition, AI driven, that helps you use digital rights management and also going into writing these compliant descriptors for you. Now, I'm going to take a second and jump into a different world. This is our project management world. So let's say that we're a medical device company, Brand Aid Medical, again, a highly regulated area. And we've got a new patient portal launch. We're going to launch a new patient portal. So I've spun up a project here, and it only has a single element in here. But if you haven't seen our product before, you can manage all of your tasks. You can manage proofs and approvals. You can add people and collaborate inside of here. That's what this is really designed for, is it's a work management system. But the cool thing that we now have that I want to show you guys are AI insights. So however you're managing projects today, whether it's Excel spreadsheets or maybe some other tool, one of the most complicated and time-consuming things for you to do is to make sure your projects are staying on track. And we've all been there. I worked in marketing for many, many, many years, and I would have a CMO come to me and say, "Hey, I need an update on these 5 projects." And that's going to take me 15 minutes, 10 minutes per project and on a good day, right? Because I'm going to have to go through it. I'm going to have to run reports. I'm going to have to look at stuff. I'm going to have to craft up my messaging of how I want to say how the projects are performing. And what we aim to do is for people that have limited time, maybe you're not a dedicated project manager. Maybe you're just the designer or the creative director, or you're a copywriter. It's not your full-time job to manage the projects, but that responsibility is falling on you. Well, we want to take that away by giving you AI insights. And whenever I click this button, right before I hopped on the call, I asked it to summarize the project, and that's what it's done, is it summarized the project for me. So in just a few clicks of coming in here, going into the project, clicking insights and asking it to summarize, I now have a summary that I can copy out of the system and paste into an email or a Slack message. I can customize it. I can continue chatting if I wanted to continue chatting. I could ask something like, how many proofs are there? And what it would do is it would go through and tell me. Now, it already told me there's only one task, one proof in here. But the really interesting thing about this is it's going to help you just think through these things and think through the project. It says key observation and implication. The project shows a clear ownership entry, which is useful for accountability. It made sure that somebody's assigned to the project has the proof on it. It's got one proof, and it said important operational details are missing from the data set, the task breakdown, the review activity. I did this on purpose so that you could see, like, it doesn't think there's enough information in here for you to be properly managing the project. So in addition to summarizing it, it's letting you know, like, hey, you're at risk of failing this project because you just don't have enough details in here. throw them in here and we'll help you manage that. So that's a really cool use case for AI insights. On the flip side of that, let's say that you're doing a larger analysis of your projects. And so now I'm in the reporting section of Litho. And so this is looking at all open projects. And there's a lot of data in here. And this could take me, there's multiple pages. It could take me a while to summarize this. Again, I click that AI Insights button and I can immediately see all my projects, how many tasks are in these projects, total tasks, the average number of tasks per project. Um, and it gives you key takeaways, recommendations on how to improve these, implications, and it lets you know if the project is at risk or not. And so it says future planning. Essentially what this is without having to read it all. I read it already, so it told me. It's summarizing that you've got some projects that have dozens of tasks. You have some projects that have none. Think about restructuring the project so that they're more manageable and you've distributed the work over more milestones so that you're hitting milestones. That's a great project management philosophy that if I'm not a dedicated project manager, I may not know that. How can I get a hold of these projects and really take control of them? This is how. And if you're working in a very heavily regulated industry, you can't afford to be missing data. You can't afford to be missing project deadlines and things like that. So this is another way that the AI insights kind of ties into compliance and that it's going to help you make sure that your projects are staying on track. You're not missing anything. And now I'm going to switch gears again. I'm going to switch over to a particular project where I can create proofs. So for those of you that don't know a lot about our system, our proofing solution was one of the very first in the industry, if not the first, that was invented by the company's founders to create an audit trail to make sure that everything that you create has proof that it was reviewed. It has the correct information, the right branding, all of that stuff. And the traditional way of doing that is by coming in, and I've already uploaded an asset to this proof. I could add more assets if I wanted to. But the traditional way of doing this is by creating routes and going in and adding people to look at your proofs. And this can take a lot of time. And like Jamie was saying, it's not enough anymore to force this process on people because if I'm just crafting a quick email, I'm probably not going to sit here and think about needing to send this to my head copywriter or my head graphic designer or the chief marketing officer or the legal team. I'm just trying to send an email, right? But what this is now allowing you to do is very quickly get feedback using the expertise of those people that is fed into our system, and an AI will review this and very quickly give you the information. So if I have created this proof, I can very quickly now jump over and see that it was reviewed by our AI teammates. And what you're seeing is all of this markup is what the system has deemed important to let you know about. So I created a very, very bad patient portal flyer so that it would have lots and lots of markup on it. And I purposefully added this guy's face this way. I'm not that bad of a designer, don't worry. But I did this to show you it's not tagged, it's not marked up, it's not doesn't have a bounding box around it. And the reason for that is because when you set up your account, you have the ability to create skills that you can turn off and on. And so I have turned off looking at image quality, and it basically didn't mark it because I turned it off. And I can turn these things on and off at a whim. I could do it per review if I wanted to. So like if this isn't an email, I don't need it to review it for email footer regulations, right? Which I didn't. But you can see over here that it's analyzed it and it's looking at everything from unverified claims and giving me suggested fixes for this. And again, if I'm the one that created this flyer, I got this feedback immediately. I'm not going to send these errors downfield for my legal team to review. They got caught early. And if I correct those and fix them before the downstream teammates that I have see this, I've saved a ton of time. And I haven't wasted their time with silly mistakes that they were going to call out anyway. It's looked at branding. It's looked at unverified claims. It found this placeholder that I forgot to replace the QR code with. But the important thing here is if I scroll further down and see all of the problems with this, you can also see that, well, what if I wanted a human being involved right alongside here? And so I was able to actually come in here and mark this up as well. And so you can see my actual markup here too. So you can add these AI reviewers at the beginning and have them analyze stuff. You can add them right alongside human reviewers so that human reviewers can come in and say, I agree with this. Or they can say, I don't agree with this. Don't do this. Or you can have the AI reviewers come in at the very end and maybe try to catch things that all the humans missed. It really matters about how your organization already works. And so this is what happens if you're using our system and you're a user. But what happens if you're maybe a representative and you're outside of the system and you're not thinking about Litho all the time? So right here, I've got Chat GPT open. And again, as we're using that same example of we're Brand Aid Medical and we're launching a new patient portal, maybe I just need to very quickly reach out to all of my patients that I'm administering and write in an email telling them, hey, we got this new patient portal. So I've drafted up this prompt here, and I'm going to go ahead and hit enter. And I'm going to let ChatGPT write my email. Now, we've all done this, and we all know if you're doing this, you're like, yep, that looks good. I'll send it, right? So it's because A, you either just don't have time to review it. You should always review what AI says. But people just aren't that diligent sometimes. So I can actually highlight this text. And using the Litho Chrome extension that we have launched, I can actually review this email for all of that same stuff that I would have done inside the system just a second ago. So if I click review, it's going to jump me over here and I can select all of those skills that I was telling you guys about. The footer elements, the email opt-out, unverified claims, prohibited words and phrases, calls to action, grammar and placeholder detection, brand voice and tone. And I can run this very quickly without sending it downstream and waiting for people to get back to me. And you can see that it's already flagged a few things that were wrong. It said there were 4 things that failed. The first thing that failed was my footer elements don't have proper footer elements. I have to have a proper opt-out link. And I said, just click here if you don't want emails anymore, right? Maybe the system is putting these in for me, maybe it's not. But it at least caught that it didn't have the proper linkage. Again, preventing a canned spam compliance problem there. Scrolling further down, looking at email opt-out and sender ID, it doesn't have the proper thing there. It found grammar problems and placeholder problems. It found brand, tone, and voice. Now, this is where the real magic happens, is it's not just compliance about legal and regulatory, it's also brand compliance. We understand your brand because we have all of those assets inside of our asset manager, and we can customize the way that everything is working and what's analyzing and what's not getting analyzed. And so you can see those few problems. I can go over here and I could just feed these back into ChatGPT and say, fix it, or I could manually change it myself, or maybe it's like, maybe I should have this email reviewed by more than just the AI. I'm actually able to say submit, and now I can take and I can send this proof off into that proofing environment that I just showed you. And I can add human reviewers to this and they can see what the AI said. I didn't start inside of Litho. I started where I was already working in Chat GPT. And it doesn't just apply to text-based stuff. It can also apply to designs. So what you see here is I have Figma open on my computer, and I'm working on that new patient portal that we're announcing. And if I've gone through and designed this, it can sometimes be a little cumbersome to have to click and save this out as an export, go to another system, send it around, ask for a review. And maybe for people that don't have access to Figma, because Figma does have a nice review tool built in, but that's for Figma users. It's hard to bring people that have never used Figma into that world. So what can you do to get feedback from those people that are typically outside of Figma, like your legal team and whatnot? Well, what you see right here is that I've still got the Litho plugin open. And so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to zoom in just a little bit onto my design file. And using the select area tool, I'm actually going to just take a quick screenshot of this portal that I've designed. And it's going to take it, and I'm going to be able to say, go to review. Let me do that one more time here. And I'm going to be able to select the skills that I want it to review. I don't need to review for a footer element because this isn't an email. But let's look for any unverified claims or prohibited words or required words. Or is there any promotional messaging in there? Calls to action, image quality. I'm clicking it this time because I know I messed it up last time. Brand voice, grammar. And I'll say add to review and run that review. And this time I'm going to let it run live so you guys can see it. But what's actually happening is it's looking at all of those rules that I've already got set up inside of the system, and it's analyzing to say, okay, we're running these 9 different skills against everything that is on this page. And the beautiful thing is if you've updated any of those skills since the last time I've done this, that's fine. They'll get applied to the next thing that I'm reviewing. And so while this is running, I'm going to jump back over here and show you exactly where you can apply some of those brand skills. So you can teach the system about your brand, about your regulations, all through our product. And so what you're also seeing here is our brand centers. And our brand centers allow you to specify whatever you want about your brand. I've got brand values, brand personality, brand tone and voice. Now, our head of marketing is probably looking at this and saying, Josh, this isn't our brand guides. And that's fine. I created these fake ones just to kind of illustrate the point. Our brand guides are a lot nicer in real life. But this is what that skill check ran against over there. And so whenever I come back over here, you can see here it is, and it found a couple of things. It said the brand voice and tone is off. The asset contains unprofessional placeholder text. Oh, look at that. It does. It's a good thing I didn't send that downstream. Somebody would have seen this and been like, what is this? Is this going live? Is this the live portal? Or is this fake text? And it says, hey, you should replace that text. So it also told me, hey, there's some maybe image quality issues. The image may be low contrast. The image may be blurry. And it did that because this wasn't a real web page. It's actually a little smaller than a web page because of the way that I did it. So it didn't think that it was necessarily 100% out of compliance with our brand standards, right? It said it might be. Just have a look. So it's a less intense way of saying you didn't fail, but a human should look at this. And then here's all the stuff that it did pass. So you don't just get the fails and the you should review this. You also get the passes. And again, if I wanted to, I could take this and I could submit this as a proof for others to review. So, like Jamie was saying, it's all about shifting left. It's about reviewing earlier in the process. And hopefully, what you've seen is that I no longer have to wait for myself to have a full draft. I can review things that are in flight, that are in design, that are in progress. And so with that, that's the main features. We've got a bunch of other stuff that's coming out very soon, but that's the story that I wanted to tell you guys that hopefully help you all start to work AI into your processes a little more and also get better, more regulated content faster so that you can create more content. So without further ado, I will let Jamie jump back in. I know you guys might have had some questions or whatnot, but we can jump into those.
This is a very, very questioning crew, Josh. I'm trying to answer them as fast as possible, and I can use your help,
Yeah, let's do it.
both to make sure that I got a few of them right, as well. Boy, I literally can't keep. Oh, I can't see what's going on in the chat.
Gotcha.
All right. Well, Jesse just asked, so I'm going to answer this live. When are all these exciting items available? And the answer is some of this actually is already in production, and you could talk to your customer success person and find out how you can turn it on inside of your organization. The Chrome extension has been submitted to the App Store. And we're just working on a couple final things, but we're talking, days to weeks for that. Same with, we have a native Canva app. I I was trying to answer questions. I might have missed if Josh mentioned that, but that's one of our first native integrations. That the same timeline. We've submitted it into the App Store. So as soon as it comes out the other end, then we'll have native Canva, and we're moving into a very different cadence where we're just going to be delivering new capabilities, features, integrations, et cetera, pretty continuously going forward. So we've got an initial roadmap that the teams will be able to talk to you about, and give Josh and I another 30 days. We'll have a pretty clear roadmap through the end of the year, and that'll just keep expanding. This is a lot of new stuff. We'll get velocities, particularly with a lot of these integrations, to make them a lot better. And I know both based on what's in the chat and just generally, we know from surveying the customers and the base that a lot of you on a Microsoft stack. So Copilot and Teams and PowerPoint and et cetera are all very important to you. We will work on that. The Microsoft stack is just a little harder to take on. So we wanted to make sure we got the capabilities right by working on both the what's native into Lytho. We have a native Slack app that is also to be released relatively soon, but we are working on one for the full Microsoft stack, including how you can work with your IT departments and administrators to actually get it turned on, because we know that that's not always an easy thing to do. It's not as easy as just saying, "Hey, it's out there." That one's got a lot more middle steps to go through.
Yeah, and I was able to read through a couple of the questions, so I'll do a quick little rapid fire of answering some of the questions.
Let me know which ones you're doing. I'll mark them live.
All right, let's do it. Yeah. So the first question is, can we use Claude instead of ChatGPT? Yes. So that what I was showing you is a Chrome extension, and thanks Nick for jumping in there and helping out there too. But it's a Chrome extension, so you can use it in anything in the browser, any Chromium-based browser as well. It doesn't have to be Chrome. It can be anything that the Chrome extensions can be installed into. So ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, Copilot, Figma, Photoshop Online, wherever you're and we have that native integration to Canva. But if you're using Adobe Express, you can use our Chrome extension to review whatever's in Adobe Express. It's anywhere that content's being created through the browser. You can even do it with a Word document. You could do it with a PowerPoint that's inside of the browser, anywhere there. And then somebody did ask, and I'm going to reiterate, can you have Canva designs like this? Yes, you can do it either with the Chrome extension or the native Canva integration that we've built. And the benefit you get of the Canva integration is that it can be managed by your centralized marketing team, so that if they've got control over what is showing up inside of Canva, they can administer that and have it just turned on for everybody that's a Canva user. IT teams can also use the if your machine is managed by your IT team, they can force install that integration as well. Scrolling back through,
Are you in chat or are you in the Q&A?
I think I'm in the webinar chat, is what I'm looking through. There's another one in here. Is there similar functionality for AI reviewing analysis of intake requests? The quick answer to that is not yet, but it's coming. We're going to be injecting those AI insights, those AI teammates everywhere you're going. And one of our use cases too is, well, what if we were to surface this to you not just inside of Litho, but inside of an LLM that you're using? So if you're using Copilot, which I know a lot of you are, because a lot of you answered a survey that the team sent out asking what LLMs are you using, and we're using that to determine where we plug in this data next. So you could see analysis of intake forms inside of Litho. You could see it inside of the reporting engine. You could see it inside of your favorite LLM, because you could connect Litho. That's not there yet. We don't have it, but that's sort of the vision of where we want to go. And then someone said, is there an AI assistant to eliminate duplicates in the dam? The short answer is it's not going to eliminate them, but it's going to help you identify them. So it's going to help you to see across projects if you have redundant tasks, redundant proofs, things like that. Inside the dam, there's not an AI assistant that finds duplicates there, but we do have other ways of finding the duplicates in the dam. So that's a feature that kind of already is there. But we want to add more AI to the dam. And one of those is duplicate detection based on visual similarity and not just the metadata of the asset itself. These are all really good questions. Jamie, was there anything else in the Q&A section
Oh,
that
there's
I
so many.
did?
I'm trying to type answers while you are going through here.
Yeah.
We're at 11:47, so we're a couple minutes over. So I want to respect everybody's time and put a bow on this. If we didn't get a chance to answer, and you aren't anonymous, we will make sure that we get you the answer. So, Nick, great. He's putting the support in there. Obviously, this will be available after the fact. Ask the questions to your customer success person. If they can't answer them, we will get them. We're building out a fairly robust FAQ. I'll just say this as I'm looking through most of the questions. If we don't address it now, we are thinking about it and it's on the roadmap. And not everything that everybody wants will be there exactly the way you would want or we would want right now. But I promise you it's coming fast and furious. And so by all means, I'm happy to get on the phone with any team. Josh is as well. We'd love to learn more about your wishes, your wants, your dreams, your struggles to get AI adopted in your organization and adopted in a very productive, constructive, and safe way. I've spent most of my career in financial services, in large enterprises. I understand the challenges at a very deep level that you go through to try to maneuver and get this stuff done, both from a brand and a creative perspective, as well as a compliance and a process perspective. We would love to hear from you and learn more. I mean, this stuff is so new, it's developing so fast. Together, I think we can create some fairly amazing stuff. So with that, I want to say thanks to everybody. Appreciate the attention, the sharp questions, your time. If you're a customer, thank you for being a customer. We really look forward to helping and partnering to bring about the AI age for you and everybody else. With that, I want to say have a great Thursday and rest of your week, and I hope we get to talk to you soon.